This is Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo for Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. Today we're going to be taking a look at another one of the RSI Aurora fleet. Last episode we looked at the Aurora LN, the belle of the ball in the new ship show in Austin, Texas last year. This year, however, another ship has arisen, but it was announced at the same time. It's little known and little purchased, but it is the most expensive one of the Auroras, where the Legionnaire went all out in weaponry and being able to be a protector, a mercenary, and a militia spacecraft. The Aurora Clipper goes in the opposite direction. It takes a more passive approach to a brand new starter ship. This one is decked out for total stealth. And I'm not saying it's a stealth fighter or a stealth ship. It has an ultra low emission engine, one of the lowest in its class, which gives it a very, very low mission signature when in combat. Now, this is not the ship that you will be taking into combat. This is a ship that you will be taking from planet to planet or from star system to start making your name as a trader. This ship is decked out for trading, and it comes with the largest one of the store-all boxes that you can buy for the Aurora, and that gives you 36 freight units, twice as much as a standard Aurora. Now that box is an upgrade for the rest of the Aurora class, but the engine is unique, as is some of the other features of this ship. The ship is equipped with 2 defensive cannons, or I should say 3 defensive spots. And I call them defensive because I don't want you to think that the Aurora CL is meant for offensive capabilities. So you have 2 Class 1 hardpoints under the nose and 1 Class 3 above the cockpit. So you can carry quite a number of weapons. Well, not really. You can carry 3 weapons. 2 guns or cannons and 1 rack of missiles that are usually going to be the bearing Mark, I guess it's the Marksman Mark 1 to Mark 3. Right here, these are longsword cannons. They came with it, and they're actually quite capable of being used in defensive conditions. The rest of the ship isn't unlike the rest of the Auroras. While being almost the same dimensions as the rest of the Auroras, with the LN being just a little bit taller, at 18.5 meters in length, 8.25 meters in width, and 4.10 meters in height, the ship weighs in at 7,500 pounds unladen. So with that 36 freight units, you'll be able to carry quite a lot in early missions for a ship of this size. Now, it is a crew of 1, and there is only room for 1 person inside of this ship. It is powered by a factory power plant that is called the Endurance 300, and that is a Class 1. You could actually put a Class 2 power plant in this, bringing it up to about the same features that the Aurora LN has. It has a max of a TR3 engine, and it is equipped with the PS2-80, which is an ultra-low emissions engine. This isn't built for speed. It isn't built for maneuverability. It's built to get you from point A to point B with the cargo intact. Even though I'm going to use Original Systems' own Arena Commander to test the combat capabilities of the spacecraft, it is unwise and definitely not my suggestion or recommendation that you ever take this craft into a battle the way it is equipped now. If you're jumped by pirates, if you're jumped by Vandul or any other mercenary group, you might as well just hide in the nearest asteroid field and then get out of there as quickly as possible. One of the best upgrades for this is going to be the jump engine, so you could start moving cargo between star systems. The interior of the ship is no different. The exterior of the ship is no different from the MR. So the ship itself has a different paint scheme, and of course you'll be able to paint it any way you want later on for a fee. But there's just a certain little bit of wow factor here. And it's that while most of the starter ships are built with some kind of combat capability behind them, this is one of them that's built solely for the merchant out there. And I think that's a fresh look from RSI. So we're going to jump into a little bit of Vanduul Swarm action here in just a few moments. And like I said, it's not recommended to take the ship out into battle by any means. If you do, like I said before, get into any kind of situation that looks threatening, hide. And that is my best suggestion to you, because you may be carrying a full 36 freight units worth of cargo. That's worth quite a bit in the early beginnings of your spacefaring career. So protect yourself and run. Alright, with that said, let's jump into a little bit of action and see how well we can do here. Alright, so in many cases, what I would probably do with a ship like this is arm it with laser repeaters. The main reason for that is that they can hit at a distance, they fire rapidly, they don't overheat very fast, but they don't have a limited supply of ammo. Now, that would be for a sustained fight. This ship here is armed with 2 longsword cannons. And while they're ballistic, which means a limited amount of ammunition, they deal a lot of damage quickly and dispose of a foe in ample time for you to turn tail and run. I think that the thinking behind this ship is that the engagements are going to be defensive in nature to try to put as much room between you and your attacker as possible, give you the opportunity to hide, then use your jump engine, which of course is an upgrade on this ship, and get out of there. You can see that in that situation I was able to outmaneuver that scythe, which is quite unusual, and take him out with the cannons. This is an early level inside of the game, and it would only be reminiscent of the Vanduul that we were fighting a couple hundred years ago. The Vanduul today are much more well trained. They seem to be learning at a very young age. So although this is starting off as a game to show you what they were like when we first met them, this is not the kind of battle that you would get into today. They are much more vicious and ruthless killers, and with the additions of spacecraft like the Glaive, which is much more heavily armed and armored, you'd probably have a harder time trying to get away in a ship like this. However, arming them with the cannons like this gives you a much better chance at taking them out rather rapidly. So the maneuverability of this seems more like a box truck from the 21st century moving on a wet street than it does a spacecraft. And the OLN was totally different from this, and of course it would be, because that's tailored to be a fighter. This is tailored to be a mercantile vessel, a merchantman, a really small one, but still, it's really tuned for that. So although I find very quickly that I am able to compete early on, as later levels, when I run out of ballistic weaponry, it proved to be a deadly task trying to take on any Vanduul from that point on. At some point in this match, I actually did try to hide behind an asteroid and sat there for quite some time. I will not play that through, as we could be here for quite a long time. But I was able to hide from the Vanduul for quite a while because they had killed both of my wingmen. Finally, I came out and let them kill me. I think that what this is showing me is that this craft is very well capable of hiding because of its small cross-section, its small emissions, and small exterior features. It's probably something that will use more defensive capabilities than offensive capabilities for those people that are going to be starting a career in trading. Now, the obvious upgrade from this at this particular point would be a freelancer. You'll probably spend some time in this trying to gain enough credits for an MISC freelancer. The freelancer is definitely a ship that can hold its own in a fight, and with its weaponry, it's something that doesn't need to run away. And that's something that I fear is going to make our young traders that are learning their trade routes in this vessel a little bit under skilled, inexperienced if they're jumped. I would hope that RSI in the future gives a little bit more offensive capability to the ship, so when they do see traders moving up from an RSI Aurora CL into the Freelancer class of ships, that the people do have a little bit more experience in how to handle a ship that's built a little bit more for combat. In the next episode, I'm going to take a look at an entirely different ship. I know I've talked about the Mustang quite a few times, but it's little known that how the Mustang came into being. Now, Silas Corner is a multi-trillionaire and pretty much owning most of the industry in the Bremen system. But when it came time to make the Mustang, he's no slouch and definitely, didn't use all of his own capital to do so. He went to a few companies like Original Systems, AMD, and a couple of the other component manufacturers, and had them help finance the original 2 models of the Mustang, which, believe it or not, aren't the Alpha, Beta, or Delta, but are the Gamma and the Omega. I've already given a quick look at the Omega a few months back when it started to show up at the tracks. But in the next episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about how Consolidated Outland came to be and how they got their funds to build their ship and then go over the Mustang Gamma and take it out for a few races. Now, with that said, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.